Hi, my name is Denise. I am a health freedom advocate in California and I represent Freedom Angels. I am one of 4 women who are patriots and we fight for freedom, whether it be vaccines or homeschool or just medical procedures in general. Hi, guys. So I saw a lot of need and questions going on in my last post regarding homeschooling. So I'm just going to touch really quick on it for those who want to get started and need some information on where to go. So I have 2 boys that are in school right now. I have a 8-year-old who is in public school and a 5-year-old who is homeschooling. Um, the other day I think I did this last year too, but the other day I went to my son's public school parent teacher conference and it now I know why I homeschool. um, my son is really smart and he excels in all the things that he does. He's really good with math and he's great with reading. And I go to his parent teacher conference and the teacher is sitting there in front of my son and myself and the other parent, and she's saying that my son's failing because he's not reading at the same level as other kids in his class. And even though my son's a great reader, he was like 2-3 points off, and that was grounds for her to say he's failing his classes, or he's failing. So then it went on to he talks too much, he socializes too much, he doesn't pay attention, and they always have to move his seat, and no matter where he sits, there's always talking. And I can say this is absolutely true. My son is 8, and little boys and little girls have a lot of energy, and they need to talk, they need to socialize. So when people say, your child's going to be weird because they're not socialized and you teach them at home, just no. Public school is not for socialization. Public school teaches on a Common Core foundation, which was created to dumb down our children. It was lowering the bar of what the children were learning. Not all kids learn the same. Not all kids are on the same path. And when you go to public school, especially, first, second, third grade, all the children are compared to each other when none of us learn that way. None of us learn the same. None of us understand it the same way. I am a hands-on person. I am not a reading person. So somebody could say that I'm not excelling because if I read it, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So homeschooling and public school are 2 completely different worlds. If you have a child who you're thinking about homeschooling, know this in your state how old the children need to be. Now, in the state of California, your child does not have to go to kindergarten. Mandatory schooling is for first grade and up. So 5 years old, don't worry about it. And I'm talking about homeschooling my 5-year-old. He'll be 6. So this is going to be my experience. I can't really tell you anything about high school or middle school. So first off, California, you don't have to do mandatory kindergarten. Second off, the moment you decide that you want to homeschool, I suggest you go online and you sign up for the Homeschool Legal Defense. Okay, that legal defense group, you pay, I forgot how much money I pay, but you pay X amount of dollars. It's not very much. And so it's not very much money, but with that, you get access to their legal school or legal funds. So that way, if you do have issues with legal fees or legal problems, they will represent you for free. You're not going to go to court or anything, but they'll give you advice. Also, you want to look at their website because it has so many groups that you can join. There's co-ops. So co-ops, you can create your own co-op. Hold on one second. Ikrai, turn that off, please. Thank you. Sorry. So there's all kinds of co-ops that you can do. I hope you guys can hear me. So the website is thank you, Jessica, HSLDA. Um, Thank you. Sorry. So it's the Homeschool Legal Defense. I thought it was legal. So HSLDA, which is great. It's going to show you how to get started homeschooling. So that way you can file the right paperwork. So every year in California, you need to file in October to let the state know. Now, this is if you decide to stay in the system. I know a lot of people who do homeschool, but they do not register their children. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. I'm going to start you guys off really easy. So create your own co-op. The biggest problem that I have had when I was transitioning from public school to private, or from public school to homeschooling, was that I wanted it to mimic public school. So thank you, $11. So I thought that my son's school had to mimic public school with the way it was set up, all the books, all the extra materials that you get, whatever, and the timing, right? Up in the morning, we eat, we get back to school. That's not the case. If you work, you can still homeschool. Homeschooling is any time of the day that you feel that it's appropriate to teach your children. Some children learn later in the day. Some children are morning children. So this is all about how you feel your children are going to learn easier. I have never heard of everybody who I've talked to who does have a job and decided to homeschool, they thought that, okay, I have to homeschool at 8 a.m. and we're out at 3. But really for preschool, kindergarten, first grade, it's really play learning. We don't do like the books and we don't do a curriculum. I am independent. So when I file in October, I'm an independent. I'm not getting any funds from charter schools. I'm not, stop wearing the shirt. The art was stolen from an artist. Her name was Wendy Silvers is the artist on here, and her page is Ann Arbor, and all of that money goes to her. So cool, woke Sarah. Thank you for calling that out. Anyways, can we get back to this subject at hand? Now, I do not take any money from charters because I don't want someone to come into my home and tell me how my children should learn. I go independent, so I get them whatever material that I want my child to learn is what I'm buying on my own. Now, you can go with the charter. Charter schools, like here in Stockton, there's one, and that one pays for extracurricular activities. So with me, my son does martial arts. I have to pay out of pocket because I'm not with, I'm not with a charter schools because I'm private. Sorry, I'm not going to read the comments anymore. I keep getting distracted. So charter schools, though, some pay up to like $2,400, and that will take care, depending on how many kids you have in there, that'll take care of all those extracurricular activities. If I wanted to go with a charter, I can have my son's martial arts be covered under that. So that's a really good, I really do like the charter schools for that. The only reason not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I'm staying clear of them is because in the state of California, they are under attack. But for now, utilize it. They will help you with extracurricular activities. They will help you with, tutors or whatever you feel you need for your child to learn. You're going to have that pot to get into. Now, my son is, again, he's in kindergarten. We've slowly transitioned. We do not have a specific, thing that we learn every day, but we do have our schedule. So once we go in the morning time, we do our morning routine, we drop my son off at school, we come home and it'll go anywhere from like reading a book or writing his name and his alphabets. And then we have going, my son does math. He cannot stand to try to read or write. That is just not his thing. He does not like it. And that's okay. He's leading by what he wants to learn. So right now he does math. So he's 5 years old and he's adding, subtracting He's counting money. He's doing measurements because we do cooking. So when I cook, I have him help me. And this is part of the learning skills that we're doing. He has to learn measurements, how many cups of whatever we're putting in there. So it doesn't have to be, and it should not look like public school. The whole point of pulling your children out is so they experience actual learning, and they're not being told by someone to sit down, pay attention, read this, and if you don't read this at this time, then you're failing. That's not how I want my children to learn. And I don't think that what public school is teaching is going to help them in the long run. So we do life skills. When my son comes home from his public school, we really hold off on homework unless he has to do it. I hate homework. I do not agree with homework. I think they're in there for 7.5 hours. There's no reason why they need to come home and do homework. But so we try to hold off as much as possible. But when my son comes home from school, he's excited for math because I teach him math the way I used to learn, like division, the little symbol, and you see how many times this number goes into there instead of that whole extra Common Core stuff. So he's now learning the way he likes it, the way he knows it, and he is zooming through those numbers like nobody's business. So why did he get knocked down points at school for not showing the work that he's supposed to do with Common Core? This is what I'm talking about. He knows the numbers, he knows the answer, and he shows his work in the answer, but because it's not done the way Common Core is supposed to be done in public school, he's now failing, and his teacher is going to sit across from him and is going to tell him that he's failing. This is the problem that we're seeing. And my son talks. He's a talker. He loves to chat. He loves to, play. And that's okay. He is 8 years old. He should not be sitting at his desk for 7 hours with, 20-minute lunch, 5-minute recess twice a day, and expected to take all of that energy out. So what was I told? ADHD. This is what's happening in the public school. These teachers don't want, and I'm not saying all teachers, I'm not even saying my son's teacher, but what I've seen in some cases, that they don't want to do the work. So sit down, be quiet, shut up. Otherwise, I'm going to label you ADHD, and here's going to have some medication so you can stop interrupting me in class. And Christian, my son Christian, he excels. He's a great reader. But if it's not done in the same time that another student is done, or the standard, then he's failing. And this is not the way that we're supposed to be teaching our children. I sit there and I encouraged him through the whole meeting, like, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. While in the other ear, he's having his teacher saying he's failing. He needs to work on this. We have a goal. I mean, this is not the way. And my son's sitting there like cracking his fingers and he's really nervous. And I'm like, parent-teacher conferences should not be nerve-wracking like this. Like, you should be excited. Show me your work. Show me what you've accomplished. Show me all of your art and all the things that, you're here for, instead of sitting at a desk and being told that my son's failing at every single subject because he's not on the standard that this school feels that he should be on. So absolutely, that's absolutely insane. But, for those who say the homeschool, I do have a homeschool group in Stockton. It's a very small group, and we do, we do field trips. We're having a Valentine's Day party for the kids. I'm trying to get it in order to do sports during the week, at least once a week, music classes or Spanish classes. And it's hard to juggle all of it, but it can be done. So if you guys find people in your area, then create your own co-op. You do not, and this is the thing, the laws in California say that if you are a licensed daycare or a public or private school, you must follow the laws as far as vaccines. But when you're your own school, your own entity, you can join other parents and become a co-op, and you can have your own teachers, you can have your own community, because in my community, if I need help with my children, I have my homeschool friend who can pick them up or, teach them for the day. And then I have another homeschool mom who's going to help me with the lesson plans for the week. It's not as hard as what people think it is. I want you guys to know that it's not this crazy complicated. You have to go out and buy all this new stuff and you have to spend thousands of dollars. You don't have to do that. You can go to the dollar section of Target, dry erase board, some chalkboard, some chalk, crayons, and construction paper. I mean, you can create your own stuff at home. You don't need to buy all these fancy things. So unfortunately, yes, we do have those parents who feel like, they're just going to send their kids off to get them out of the house. I get it. I understand. Sometimes parenting is hard, especially, parenting toddlers you always have to be on. My oldest kid is 21. So there's a really, really big difference between my 21-year-old and my toddlers who need a constant, interaction. And that's what this is, homeschool is work, because I can't just drop my kids off and go. Like, I have to think of things that are going to be fun, things that are within my budget, things that are going to work for my son, that's going to be educational and not just wasting time. So this is what I've done to start this co-op. Is we have these group of parents who are now, there's 20 kids in the co-op, which is perfect. We do go to different places, the museums and things like that. And that's a homeschool day. Take them to the Capitol and it's a homeschool day. It's civics. So awesome. 3, that's really young, but awesome that you're doing that, because, it's never too young to learn. It's always great to have groups of parents who are willing to spend time out of their day with their kids and help you decide on what lesson plans or what's going to be taught that day. It's not as hard as you think, and you can work and you can go to school or you can do whatever you're doing and still homeschool your kids. And I get it. You can't always do that. Like with my other son, I cannot homeschool him right now. That's just something I'm dealing with on a personal thing. But my 5-year-old, he loves it. He's a very excited child when other children come to play. He plays well. He's well-mannered. He just wants to make friends. There's no bullying in our homeschool groups. That's another thing. Your homeschool groups, these are your friends. These are your sisters. These are people who understand and like-minded and want the best for their kids. So there's no bullying in these groups, because as a parent, you're going to your friend, you're saying, this is happening. Can we, talk about this? And it gets nipped in the bud. So I don't have to worry about my son getting in altercations. I don't have to worry about him being bullied because of his hair. This is something that it was such a huge change. It was a culture shock almost, for me. And yes, and the papas, the dads. I'm excited that there's dads coming out. But this is something that everybody can do. Create your own co-op. All you need is just a few parents with, a few kids, and start finding out what your strengths are and having that, like I said, the cooking day, the life skills day, the money counting day, decorating day for hand motor skills, for things like that. You do not need to be a public school in your home. So I know you guys have questions. You can follow my friend Heidi, and her handle is Events by Heidi, Heidi. She is an amazing homeschooler. She homeschools both her kids, and she has such great information. Like, this woman has great information. You can also follow David Rodriguez. He is a homeschool guru, and he has a lot of really great information. So you follow him. Heidi and I are going to be doing Zoom classes to teach you. Well, they're like seminars, so it's going to have like homeschool, how to prepare, your rights, vaccine stuff, everything like that. So that's coming soon. We're working on a weekly podcast and to get that up and going. So this is what you can do as a community and as friends, is build yourself a co-op, teach each other what your life skills are, what your strong skills are, so you can teach your other kids. You can, again, file with the homeschool legal defense, so that way you have a legal defense if the public school system comes after you. And it also has really great tips on how to homeschool, where to get started, and links on co-ops in your area. So that's some really great places to start. I have a YouTube channel, The Informed Mama, where I spoke with David Rodriguez, and you can go over there and you can look to see what he says. So if if you guys want to homeschool, I fully support that. You don't need exemptions to homeschool. You don't need vaccines to homeschool. So this is the best place to get started, to stop the mandatory vaccines, is to pull your children out and pull their funding from the school system. We're seeing the school system's failing, and it's time to jump ship. So I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to figure out how to save this, and hopefully I can get it back up. Bye.